Welcome to the Explainer, everyone. We hear the acronym IoT thrown around literally everywhere these days. But today we're going to dive right into the fascinating and honestly pretty complex ecosystem of the Internet of Things. We're getting past the buzzwords to look at the actual technology under the hood that's connecting our modern world. We've organized this whole technical alphabet soup into a logical roadmap. Today we'll cover 1. Consumer versus industrial IoT. 2. The core IoT architecture. 3. How IoT devices actually communicate. 4. Essential IoT protocols. And finally, 5. The 5G connectivity boost. Let's jump in. Section 1. Consumer versus industrial IoT. Let's anchor ourselves in the real world before we get into the heavy technical weeds. It is incredibly easy to just picture IoT as yelling at a smart speaker to turn on your living room lights, right? But what happens when you apply that exact same concept, connected sensors and actuators, to an entire power plant or an automated manufacturing line? The core idea is similar, but the actual execution couldn't be more different. For consumer gadgets, it's all about convenience. They prioritize cheap, easy installation using standard Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. But industrial IoT, or IIoT, that is mission critical. Think about it. If your smartwatch loses connection, your step count pauses. Big deal. But if an industrial sensor fails, it could delay a multi-million-dollar production cycle, damage expensive equipment, or literally threaten human lives. That's exactly why industrial IoT uses redundant failovers and incredibly rugged hardware to survive in harsh environments. And because the stakes are phenomenally high, security takes on a whole new meaning. A hacked home camera is an awful privacy violation, for sure. But a cyber attack on critical infrastructure, that can cripple supply chains and cause real physical harm. Because of this, IoT deployments rely on intense layers of protection. We're talking strict network segmentation, secure device authentication, and role-based access to make sure one compromised sensor doesn't bring down an entire factory floor. Moving on to Section 2. The core IoT architecture. Let's dive into the physical architecture to see how these networks are built from the ground up. Basically, every IoT setup follows a 4-step data assembly line. First, the sensing layer uses physical hardware to gather raw data, stuff like temperature or motion. Then the network layer takes that data and securely transmits it. Next, it hits the service layer, which is usually up in the cloud, where that data is processed, analyzed, and stored. Finally, we reach the interface layer. That's the dashboard or app where a human can actually read the information and make decisions. So, the unsung hero right in the middle of this architecture is the gateway. You can think of it as the ultimate traffic hub. It sits right between the sensors on the ground and the broader internet. Because different sensors might speak completely different languages or use different radio frequencies, the gateway translates all this data so the devices can actually understand each other, while also acting as a critical security checkpoint. All right, Section 3, how IoT devices communicate. We know the physical layers now, but how do these devices actually talk to each other across the network? Well, devices don't just blindly yell over each other. They use specific exchange patterns based on what they need to do. They might use a push pattern, where a sensor just broadcasts its data on a strict schedule, or a request/response pattern. This is where one device asks a question and patiently waits for an answer. Or they might use subscribe/notify. That's where a device basically says, hey, let me know when the specific value changes, and then just listens for that update while it does other things. The -7 communication models show this in action beautifully. In a pull model, the gateway actively requests data from the sensor nodes. It's essentially interrogating them to pull the data out. But in the push model, those sensor nodes take the initiative. They automatically beam their data forward to the gateway without ever being asked. Now, things get really wild when we look at a mesh network, specifically using the Zigbee standard. Instead of everything connecting to one single router like they do in your house, a Zigbee mesh relies on a central coordinator to form the network, while routers bounce the signal across huge distances. This means the tiny end devices on the edges can be incredibly simple. In fact, they're actually allowed to completely sleep on the job to save battery. They only wake up when they actually have something important to say. Section 4, Essential IoT Protocols. Let's zoom in a bit more into the software rules, or protocols, that actually govern all this data delivery. If we think of these protocols like the Postal Service, HTTP, which runs most of the normal web you use every day, is like a certified letter. It takes a lot of effort and overhead to deliver, making it way too heavy for tiny sensors. CoAP is a clever alternative that brings a web-like structure to low-power setups. But MQTT is the real star for IoT. It's more like a magazine subscription that just drops into your mailbox automatically. It's incredibly lightweight and specifically built for unreliable networks. MQTT manages this lightweight delivery using a central broker. Publishers, like our field sensors, send their data to the broker, which organizes it all into specific topic queues. Then, any subscriber, like an analytics dashboard or a phone app that cares about that specific topic, just automatically receives the data. The really cool part, the publishers and subscribers never actually talk directly to each other. This disconnected delivery is an absolute game changer because it guarantees that a temporary network drop won't destroy your data. If the network hiccups, the MQTT broker just buffers and caches the information. Once the connection comes back, the queued messages are delivered. For a critical factory sensor, say monitoring a boiler's pressure, making sure no data gets lost in transit is vital. And finally, Section 5, the 5G connectivity boost. Let's zoom back out to the big picture and see how the telecommunications boom is supercharging everything we've talked about today. Older wireless generations like 4G were amazing for streaming on your smartphone, but they really struggle to handle thousands of tiny sensors clustered in one area. 5G is a massive leap forward, not just in speed, but in density, meaning we can now squeeze a huge number of devices into a single environment without the network buckling under the pressure. The perks of 5G for IoT are completely transformative. By dropping latency down to mere milliseconds, 5G lets industrial machines react to sensor data almost instantaneously. And because the data transfers so fast, sensors spend way less time in an active transmitting state. That drastically improves their battery life. Add in the crazy reliability it offers in complex industrial environments, and 5G is basically the perfect backbone for massive IoT rollouts. So, connecting absolutely everything makes our world faster, smarter, and incredibly efficient. But here is the catch. As we rapidly expand this network, we are exposing a massive attack surface. The next huge challenge for the tech industry isn't just about connecting all these devices anymore. It's about securing them all simultaneously. Are we actually ready for that? It's definitely something to chew on, and a topic we'll be tracking closely until our next explainer. Thanks so much for joining me.